back to the Mindbender Mental Performance Podcast.
Indeed, as the title suggests today, revenge, resilience, patience, and the relentless pursuit of mental mastery and an elite mindset. What players can learn from the Count of Monte Cristo. Yes, welcome back to the Mindbender Mental Performance Podcast, the only podcast that former Dominican player Enrique Byronés says makes players fuerza en la cabeza. El lugar es aquí, el momento es ahora. Wherever you are, the place is here, and the time is now. It's about showing up, being present, and getting out in front and knocking down those mental and oftentimes emotional barriers that get in the way of consistent and confident performance outcomes. Today's episode, especially dedicated to the great Miles Rothfarb. This one's for you, brother. Let's dive into a heavy hitter in the mental performance lessons from the unlikeliest of sources today, The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Yeah, it's a story about revenge, but I want you to think beyond that. This is a tale of mental transformation, of grit and ultimate resilience. Just like what it takes to be an elite level ball player, Edmond Dantes, the main character, learns that controlling his mind is his way to rise from nothing to everything. The master must be willing to look the fool. The same way that we train our intelligence, we must train our emotions. Let's get into it. Learn to control what's in your control. Dantes gets thrown into prison. He's abandoned. He's fucked over. He's got two options: sit there and let the situation eat him alive, or decide to work with what he's got. I only got 80% today. Then give 100% of the 80% you got. Don't worry about the 20% you don't got. He starts with focusing on what he can do, learning, training, planning. And for you, that's the game, man. You can't control every play, every call, every hit, every inning, but you can control your response to it. Control the controllables. My appearance, my attitude, my preparation, my performance, not the results of how I perform, but how I perform, my energy and effort. You bring that mindset into every inning, every at-bat, every pitch, and watch how the game changes. Work with what you've got, like Dantes did in that cell. Make sure you're building routines to manage the pressure so you can make pressure your privilege, so you can turn adversity into your advantage, so you can use failure as fuel. Dantes has years to plan his escape. He hones his routine. He digs the tunnel like dang El Chapo in there, huh? Day in, day out, same grit, same purpose. In baseball routines, those are the anchor. Pre-game routine, in-game routine, post-game execution routine, pre-pitch routine, at-bat routine, position player pre-pitch routine, pitcher, bullpen, pre-inning, pre-batter, pre-pitch. Then we have signal light release routines. Those are the anchor. Those are the secret weapon to calm the mind and keep us locked in, no matter how intense the game gets. Whether you're on the bump or you're in the box, your pre-pitch routine are critical, non-negotiable. Got to know how to do them. They're the thing that holds you steady when the noise gets loud and that pressure hits. So we focus on the breath. We tune into the rhythm and we keep it simple. If you don't have a routine, you're leaving yourself exposed. Learn to let go and trust your work. Dantes didn't sit there obsessing over every mistake he made. He trusted the work he put in. Trust your training and trust yourself. When people go, I trust the process, I'm like, well, show me the process that you trust. And then we'll see if you should trust the process. So for now, trust your training and trust yourself. There's got to be more trusting and less searching. When you're in the box or on the mound, that's the time to let go. Stop thinking, start doing. Let go of the what ifs, because that shit will only hold you back. Get into the what is. And if you're going to what if it all works out? But what is? Trust the work you put in every single day and show up choosing confidence with big breath, big body language, great focus, and great self-talk. We over me mentality. You've earned that swagger. You're here. Develop a mental focal point to keep you calm. In the Count of Monte Cristo, Edmond Dantes, he has a fierce focus. He doesn't let anything fuck with his goal. He's got that one mission in mind, and he lets nothing shake him from it. For ball players, that's your release. When you're facing a challenge and your mental focal point or release, like a yellow or red light release technique, if you're feeling tension, worry, self-doubt, fear creep in, it's that yellow light telling you to pause, to take a physical action. Maybe you step out of the box, unreach the batting gloves, release them back on to lock back into the next pitch. Left field foul pole. That's our breath on the focal point. Left field foul pole, let it go. And then your 3 keys to keep it simple. See ball, be easy, hammer it. If you got a chance to watch the World Series last night, the Yankees came back and got themselves a game. If you see the post-game interview with Anthony Volpe, he went pillows packed pump last night. He said, yeah, I've got a routine. I tell myself, see ball, be easy, hammer it. Check out Anthony Volpe, elite level pre-pitch routine, and a guy that we work with. So if you're feeling tension creeping in, that's the time to take your physical action, your breath on the focal point, and your verbal trigger to let it go. Transform your pain and your suffering into power. And understand that long suffering is for the righteous, man. It's in the greatest coach's manual ever written, the Bible. Dante uses his pain and betrayal as fuel. He doesn't dwell on it. He redirects it to stay strong and relentless. We all get thrown a curveball at some point, huh? We all get a little slurge, a little batia, something that makes us question if we're good enough, right? A little below the line, tough enough. Are we willing to pay the price? Or do we belong? Use that shit. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Use failure as fuel. Use it as an opportunity to learn, to grow. Reframe the moment. When you have a negative comment come in, reframe it. Take that pain, that anger, that madness, and pour it into your practice. Pour it into your preparation. Pour it into your appearance and your attitude. Pour it into your energy and effort. Pour it into being process over outcome. Pick up the books. Listen to the podcast. Eat the apple. Walk around the block. Get sleep. It's simple, but it ain't easy. Embrace your identity and play with conviction. When Dantes finally emerges as the Count of Monte Cristo, he's no longer just some guy looking to make it. He transformed, like the caterpillar into the butterfly. He knows who he is. He owns it. He knows his purpose. He knows his mission. He has a vision. He plays with unbreakable conviction. As a ball player, you've got to have that same sense of identity. It's not enough just to show up and swing the bat or throw a pitch. You've got to know who you are as a player and what you stand for on the field. Know your why. It's the purpose behind every practice, every rep, every hustle play. If you're going through the motions instead of growing through the motions, you're playing small. You've got to decide to play big, to go out there and own every inch of that diamond with swagger and grit, because gritty beats pretty and toughness beats talent. Because you know exactly who you are and what you're about. Do you have a mission, vision, and principles? Do you have above and below the line behaviors in different categories, like personal, school and baseball? Do you have that? A big league guy would be personal, social or training, and then at the ballpark. So define who you are. That way you can look through that lens on every decision you make. The game's going to test you, but the ones who succeed are the ones who stand tall in their own skin and know who the fuck they are. Cultivate a champion's mindset. You got to play for the process, not the outcome. Here's the thing about Dantes. He's not just obsessed with the end game of revenge. Sure, that's his driver, but it's the process that transforms him. It's constantly working on himself, sharpening his mind and strengthening his spirit along the way. That's the mindset of a champion. Doing a little, a lot. Every day, getting a little bit better than you were yesterday. Not comparing ourselves to who somebody else is today. Play to a standard, not a scoreboard. It's about showing up every day to do the work and loving the grind. If you love baseball, then make sure you're playing it. When you play it with love. The process itself is where we find the meaning. Results are going to come, but if you only play for the outcome, you're in for a long, miserable journey. Play for the process. Take it pitch by pitch and let the results follow. And recognize that mastery takes time. Like we said, the master must be willing to look the fool, right? And the journey is always the hardest at the beginning. Dantes spends years of his life planning his escape and preparing for the transformation. He's got a long, painful journey to get where he wants to be, and there ain't no shortcuts. Same for us. Mastery doesn't happen overnight, right? There's no rebirth without pain and blood. It's ugly. It can be frustrating and fascinating. It's a grind. You got to embrace it, because every struggle, every uncomfortable moment is part of building something damn near bulletproof up here, standing guard at the door of your mind. Don't avoid the tough stuff, because tough times don't last. Tough people do. Lean into it, find the lessons, and let it make you stronger. Keep your perspective here. It ain't life or death. One of the biggest traps for any athlete is putting too much pressure on one game, one pitch, one at-bat. Each and every pitch has a life and history of its own. And we got to be able to separate who and do. You have to separate who you are as a person, as a player, as a son, as a brother, as a father, all those things from what you do in baseball. Separate who and do. So Dantes, despite all the hardships, he stayed locked in on his bigger picture, never losing sight of who he is and why he's fighting. In baseball, perspective is everything. Perspective. We have guys develop perspective poster. Put somebody, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent that went through an illness, that's suffering from cancer. And when you think it's, oh, I'm going through this, you look at that perspective poster. That should rock you right out of there. Put things in perspective. Compared to what? One game doesn't define you, and one failure sure as hell doesn't either. Take it all in stride. Keep your perspective. Stay neutral, and don't let any single moment hold you hostage. The game and you are bigger than that. Commit to being a great teammate, right? We over me. Dantes, he meets a lot of people along the way, along the journey, who help him become who he needs to be. And he gives back to them as much as he receives, because life gives to the giver. In baseball, you're not out there alone. You're part of something bigger. And your mental strength isn't just about you. It's about lifting up your teammates. I always tell Kakua, who you learn the most from? Your teammates. They've got to communicate with each other. Encourage that. Great teams have great teammates. If you can put your ego aside, stay humble, and show up, not just for yourself, but for everyone else in that dugout, you've already elevated the team's game. That's the shit of legacy. So don't be temporary, be legendary. And it's the kind of character that separates us from the good to the great. So Miles and all the other players out there, the Count of Monte Cristo isn't just a story about revenge. It's a blueprint for mental toughness, resilience, and commitment to a purpose greater than yourself. So every day in every way, you have the chance to rewrite your story, to take whatever shit life throws at you and build something powerful with it. But it takes discipline, relentless focus, and a willingness to face the discomfort head on. It's about staying in the moment, trusting your work, and committing to the journey, just like Dantes. You're not just playing baseball, you're creating your identity. One breath, one pitch, one swing at a time. And that identity, that's what will carry you beyond the game. So go out there and own that shit. And remember, it takes what it fucking takes. Now let's get to work. Para mis jugadores latinos, más línea, más vida. Hasta la próxima. Recuerdo, si quieres ser un jugador disciplinado, comprometido y preparado en el futuro, empieces esa mierda hoy. So necesita lo que so necesita y lo mejor está por venir. Until next time, remember, if you want to be a disciplined, committed, and prepared ball player in the future, you start that shit today. It takes what it takes, and the best is yet to come.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.